Well, good morning and a welcome to this Saturday edition of Kingdom of Honor discusses Shane's book addiction. And Shane, I'm not going to lie, I tried to find some information on this book, and a quick Google search of the book name that we're going to discuss today, Who'll Stop the Rain, brought me a number of things, none of them being a book. Uh, there's a 1978 movie about the Vietnam War. There's a song by Creedance Clearwater Revival, but I cannot find the book anywhere. So I need you to tell me about it. What goes on in this thing?
Well, all right. So this book, all right, this book is very oddly written. It follows three characters. Do you remember Jeff when we were growing up and we were read the Marvel comic books and we were such big fans of X-Men and like how Logan just like Wolverine have the name Logan was such a cool thing and
Right.
such a cool name. Well, now you have those little snot-nosed brats named Logan and people are naming book characters Logan and eh, it kind of sucks now.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
there will always ever be only be one Logan as far as I'm concerned. um, anyway, so one of the characters in the book is named Logan,
Okay.
and we get a first person perspective of his scenes in here. I guess he is, for want of a better word, the protagonist of this book. Um, but then we also have followed two other characters, detectives named Sylvana, and then a crime not really a crime boss, but kind of a he's like a club owner and he lets crime be done in his like crime be done in his club and he gets kind of a percentage of any of the crime that is like planned in his club.
Okay.
That kind of thing. And then that guy is also working with his grandfather, who was the original Mamba, to um, make a business deal with like the biggest wealthy guy in the Miami area. So that's where we're kind of at with this book. When I say it's oddly written, I mean that Logan's scenes are all told from a first person perspective, and the other two are all by a third person perspective. It isn't like Logan's narrating the whole thing. It's like Logan's chapters are, you know, we things and every the other ones are like him her things. It's very weird.
Okay. So
There's
basically,
even parts where there's even parts where Mambo is thinking well about Logan like well what's this scumbag to tell me no to say no to me and things like that, but it's never like Logan is the one talking about that. So
okay.
it's
So
just it's just crazy.
it's a crime book, basically, is what it amounts to. So with
It
the
it is. Yeah, you probably could find an image of it if you search Miami crime series of novels instead of just searching who will stop the rain.
Yeah, that was it got a little tricky there. I'm not gonna lie, because it
And
was all over the place. Like everywhere I looked, it was Credence. Then there was a movie, and now to be honest, I kind of want to watch the movie. Um, after Googling and reading a little bit about it, because the whole um, Vietnam War era, and they talk a lot about the movie's supposed to center around some of the stuff that happened there, so I might watch that. But what made you decide to do this book?
well, my mom and I were talking one day, like I don't know, 6 weeks ago or something like that, and she said, you should, because we were talking. I had recommended them to watch The Wire. They had never watched The Wire on HBO, and I recommended they watch that, and they did. And my mom's like, The Wire is good, but it's not as good as The Shield. And she's like, oh, and by the way, like if you a books I might run into The Shield. So if you like The Shield, you ain't seen anything like The Cops in The Shield until you read the Miami Crime Trilogy by Don Donovan. It's like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And
Okay.
I'm sorry I gave it a shot. So
That's
I, I told my mom like halfway through it, I'm like, okay, so what exactly was I supposed to like about this book? She goes, you don't like it? And I said, no. She's like, well, then don't read the fucking thing.
that's funny.
um, and you mentioned how Who'll Stop the Rain is like a Creedence Clearwater Revival song. Well, the other two books in this trilogy are Against the Wind and Staying Alive. So all
Oh,
of them are taken from 70s 80s song titles. So
so the guy who wrote this? Who wrote the
Don
book?
Donovan.
Don Donovan. So he just decided that the best way to do it was to.
Been able to locate like on Goodreads or anything. So,
So how is he as far as a writer?
very very simplistic prose. Um, I didn't care about any of the characters, so and he writes a bunch of assholes as far as I'm concerned. So I mean, I really thought this novel was a piece of garbage. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't bad enough that I was like, okay, I'm not going to finish this thing. I still kind of I guess I still kind of wanted to see where it was actually going, just like because I wanted to see if he actually did have a purpose behind what he was doing, and if I would ever would start caring about any of the characters. But the answers to both of those were pretty much no.
No.
So.
Okay.
So the way that the plot goes is that Logan, who again is our kind of like our main character here, um, he is as the book opens up, he is hunting down the guy, one of the guys that he had done an armed robbery of a bank with, and the guy that he was hunting down was supposed to be their lookout and the getaway driver, and he got away with all the money. So so Logan was hunting him down. They had stolen like I think it was like $297,000, something in that order, um, from the bank. Donovan, when Logan tracks him down, the guy's there with like a 14-year-old girl, um, and there's like another guy like hiding in the corner with a shotgun, and Logan ends up killing all three of them and taking the money that's left, which is only about 90,000. So um, he had actually used the other 200 and some thousand to pay off a debt to um, another crime guy, um, that and then that's kind of how the wheels get set in motion. Is that Sylvana, who is the detective character in this one, um, goes like tracking down leads, trying to find who killed that teenage girl, because even though she was kind of on her way to being a scumbag herself, she was the daughter of a prominent councilman. And I'm sorry, the niece of a prominent councilman in Miami.
Okay.
Um, and so she and what my mom was trying to get me to read it for is basically because like Sylvana's like she kills like the first guy that she's looking for a tip in by after like stealing the money that he's earned by helping to collect this money for the crime boss. um she pulls out her throwaway piece and or throw down piece, I mean, and shoots him in the head. So
Oh, interesting.
and it turns out that she and her partner have like a bunch of other rackets going on in the city where they get like a couple $100 each a week from like corner drug dealers to basically ignore the drug trafficking that's going on. Why a homicide detective would be doing that, I have no idea. Um, and then it turns out that at the end of the book that their captain is like, I know what you guys have been doing, and I will let it go as long as you give me half of it. so so yeah, I mean,
So
very corrupt
literally, there's
cops.
not one likable character.
No, there's not. Not at all. I mean, I think we're supposed to meant to start liking Logan because like he's trying to get out of the crime business and he's trying to stop and turn legit, and he's got like bad feelings about killing people, but he doesn't stop him from doing it. And even his girlfriend like is like she's like you should get out of crime. And then when he goes to get out of crime, she's like, but then how are we going to pay for this lavish lifestyle that we have? It's like, what the fuck, bitch. and
Wow.
and then she convinces him to kill this stripper chick that um, because he all right, so backtracking a little bit, like so the I mentioned that prominent businessman that Mambo and Mambo's grandfather were trying to do like a big development deal with, right?
Okay.
So his son owes Mambo $81,000. Um, and so Mambo wants Logan to go collect that, and he's going to get 10% of what he collects. So Logan is not able to collect anything, but basically he just agrees for the other guy, I can't remember his name, to pay a higher vig each week. But then also on the side, Logan gets the stripper girlfriend of the son guy a job at a strip club, and he's going to collect $1,000 from her every week, like in perpetuity. So that's kind of his like way of appeasing his girlfriend. Like he's not going to be in the crime business anymore because he's going to be getting 1,000 a week from this stripper just for her doing her job. So that's like $52,000 a year that he gets for doing nothing. Well, then Trey, that's the guy's name. So Trey gets mad about this and confronts her. He's like, "Yeah, I don't owe Mambo any more money, so you don't get to keep collecting from her." And he's like, "Yeah, I do." And Trey goes to like muscle him, and Logan pushes him backwards. Trey hits his head on a telephone pole and dies. And so this stripper is a witness to it, and so Dorothy, which is Logan's girlfriend, convinces him that they have to kill the stripper.
Okay, so let me get this straight. He is not going to be in the mafia anymore, basically is
Well, he's not
what
really in the mafia. He's a freelance criminal
crime.
guy that just pulls jobs every
Oh,
now and then.
okay, so he's not going to be a petty criminal anymore. He's going to be a pimp. And when his pimping goes sideways, he decides murder is the option.
Well, his girlfriend convinces him that murder is the option.
So he wants to get out of crime. So by getting out of crime, he's going to do worse crimes.
Correct.
Got it. Now I
and uh, and even though there's like really no evidence that he was the one doing it, Mambo's grandfather figures out that Logan was the one that killed her. He's like, you killed her, didn't you? And Logan was like, well, I can't lie to you. Yeah, I did. And so yeah, so then the grandfather is like, well, um, here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to have you kill this guy that my grandson already asked you to do, and you refuse to do it for $25,000. But we're still going to pay you the $25,000, but you're going to kill him, and then we're going to frame him for killing the girl that you killed. So that way, their business deal is back on, because the big business guy um, had said, well, the deal's off until I find out what really happened to my son.
Hmm.
And so then Logan and his partner, or one of his partners that he usually does his criminal activities with, go to kill that guy, go to kill the other crime guy, which is the guy that originally got the $200,000 that Logan was supposed to be getting from that drug dealer beginning, or from that getaway guy at the beginning of the book. So it was kind of poetic justice in that sense. But Logan ends up getting shot in the leg, and they only kill the two bodyguards and not the crime guy, and that's kind of how the book ends.
Huh. I'm speechless.
And one other thing about the book, I do want to mention, it didn't fit in there whatsoever, and this is probably this scene probably convinced me I am not gonna finish up with this, or I'm not even gonna try the second book in this series. Was just out of nowhere, Mamba, the younger one, goes to visit Dorothy, Logan's girlfriend, who they had. I want to stress they had no other interaction before or after in this novel. Okay, I'm graciously and against my own wisdom calling this a novel. Went to visit Logan's girlfriend at her place of employment as a city clerk, where her job is basically to take money from parking tickets. Um, just to let her know that Logan's going to be okay, because he's on that job for them. He'll be back in a couple of days. He's just fine. I just talked to him, and then as he's standing there talking to her, he just starts flicking her tits while he's talking to her, and then
I,
he leaves, and that's it.
and how long did this take you to read?
Probably a week.
I would have punched out after petty thief turned pimp.
Yeah, I probably would have too if my mom hadn't recommended it, and I kind of expected it to get better. You
Oh,
know,
okay. You had that false hope that it might someday get better, kind of like you in the first season of Flash. Or no, the second season. It was the second that you
it was
were. It
no, it was the third season.
was the
I
third.
liked the
Okay.
first two seasons. No, I mean, but I mean, if my mom liked it enough that she read the entire trilogy, I was like, okay, well, surely it's going to get better. Surely there's somebody to care about in this series of novels, and I don't care about Logan, his girlfriend, his mom, uh, people he killed, Sylvana, who just starts. Oh, that's the thing, Sylvana. Okay, so that's the cop, right? Sylvana's the cop. She had never been in a bookstore her entire life. Okay, and she's like 35 years old. She had never been in a bookstore her entire life or picked up a book to read it um,
It's my soulmate.
until until this novel started.
It's my
And then
soul.
she's happened to be at her partner's loft, and she sees that he has like on his bookshelf he has some Michael Connelly books, some Harry Bosch books. It's like, oh, I should start reading those. What?
I She was my soulmate until that line.
So yeah, it is. I would not recommend this book to anyone, and I'm sorry my mom recommended it to me.
All right, so
I
what's your
w-
grade? What's your grade for it?
well, I gave it a 1 star on Goodreads. I probably would actually give it maybe if I were doing if we're doing like a best of 10 scale like we did last week for Shadow and Bone, I'd probably give it like 2.5, I guess, because it wasn't bad enough that didn't finish it, um, but it was bad enough that looked at that I looked at my Kindle and went, what? What the fuck was this?
Okay, the book by Don Donovan on Goodreads has a 3.6 rating.
I
Uh,
know I saw that.
Now, to make this better, the Vietnam book that is based, or that 1978 movie is based on, Who'll Stop the Rain, that's a 3. And then there's another book that's a 4, Who'll Stop the Rain, that's also about the Vietnam War, and that one's got a 4 rating. So I, I, I don't know. I almost want you to read the next one just so that we can see if it gets any better.
I thought I saw that Staying Alive, which I think is the third book in the series, had like a 4 point something at Goodreads, and there was like people saying like how much better it was than like the other books. I'm like, well, why'd you keep reading the other books?
Right.
Why?
I, people have told me that before too, that, oh, it got so much better in like the fifth season. Yeah, I don't care by that point. I have not watched the first four. I can't remember
Um,
there was an episode, I think it was a fairly, I can't remember what it was, but I remember there was one TV series, and just because I'm drawing a blank right now, I can't remember, but I had all these recommendations. Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it. I watched the first two episodes and I was done. Like, it's not my thing. And my friend literally told me to keep going because it does get better in like season four.
yeah, that's a long way to keep going.
That's, yeah, 20 episodes. That's, I'm investing at that point, I'm investing like 120 hours of my time.
Yeah, and if you read the description of the third book, it does sound pretty awesome. A Cuban drug dealer is shot to death in a Miami slum hotel. Within a few days, Russian mobsters turn up dead, and soon tensions are strung wiretight all across the underworld of Miami and Hialeah. You know, and I mean that does sound awesome, but I'd have to get through the second book to get to the third book,
Well,
and I don't know
is
that
it
I
an
can.
actual trilogy? Are we still following Logan at that point, or Mamba,
It's yeah,
or whoever?
yeah, it's an actual trilogy. So, um, and it's not like it's costing me anything to read these books. It's just my time because they are free with my Kindle Unlimited subscription.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
Well, that's good.
but
That's good. At least
I just don't think I can bring myself to read any more of these books. I don't care what happens.
at
So
least it was free entertainment.
yes, yeah, and I totally understand that books, it can take a while to get into a book or even into a series of books. Like my favorite, I talked about this like a couple weeks ago. Like my favorite book series is Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. And if you just read the first book, I think there's enough in the first book to keep you interested. But it's not really until the second book that the series gets really great. Um, And I think it was like 100 pages in before I really stopped kind of getting like, oh, this is just like a coming of age tale type thing. But no, it actually was a really really good series. This one I cannot imagine putting another page into, much less 100 pages. So yeah, I do not recommend this book at all.
Okay. Well,
Good news, but the good news is though that I am 71% into Shadow of the Gods, and I'm loving that one, and I'm about a third of the way into Jade War, and I'm loving that one. So we'll have a good book to talk about next week. I'm just not sure which one of those I'll get done first. So
okay, so we're continuing the Jade series. Is that
yeah, and remember how I said last week that I hope the Jade War continues the momentum that was built in the last 40% of Jade City.
yeah.
It did.
Okay,
So
good, good, good.
yeah.
So it's not a slow read for the first half.
No, it's not. It picks up really quickly.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of that is just because there wasn't so much world building and setup because it needed to be done. You know.
Right, because it was
Uh,
all done in the first book.
exactly. Yeah.
So, okay, well, I mean,
And since we did that show last week, I did watch a few other like video reviews of it and read a few other reviews of it, and a lot of people feel the same way I do. That the first um, some people said like till chapter 20. Mine was actually chapter 27. But either way, a lot of people did say about the same thing about Jade City, that it starts off really slow, and you kind of have to, and you might have to like kind of struggle to get through that first part, and then it just picks up after that, like it did for me.
yeah,
So
and dude, like fell in the water and drowned. Super, super guy.
yeah,
What the hell was his name?
and I do want to say for next week's show, guys, I cannot talk about Jade War without spoiling Jade City. So if you haven't read Jade City by next week, don't get mad at us if you get spoiled on it.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm okay with spoilers on my end, mainly
I
because
know, but I'm talking about for our audience
for
though.
everyone else, yes,
Yeah,
fully, yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, and anytime you listen to our reviews, it should just be known that there's going to be spoilers. Speaking of reviews, tomorrow we got jam-packed shows to discuss. I'm not sure, not much in the world of wrestling is there this week. We had
We can talk
NXT.
about we can talk about how I really kind of want to rant about Dynamite, honestly.
We can talk. Wait, what? Hold on. I had all kinds of hecticness happening. We could talk about how superstar Billy Graham showed up on AEW. Oh, wait, no, that was Doc Gallows dressed and looking exactly like superstar Billy Graham.
He did, didn't he?
Oh my God. I mean, the colorful outfit. The only thing that was missing was the boa. He had the goatee, he has long earrings. It looked like superstar Billy Graham. Uh, and
Good
then
call.
uh, Ryan wanted us to review Strangers um, Pray at Night, and we watched it. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow as well. Um,
Yeah, which would I'm going to ask this again tomorrow. But Ryan, why do you hate us?
I, I'm gonna, I didn't think it was awful, but we'll discuss it tomorrow. I didn't think it was, it's not. I mean, it's not. It's a fun little movie that we'll discuss tomorrow.
I do think that it corrects a lot of mistakes the first one did.
Oh my God, that one
Um,
was awful.
yeah, yeah. I do think it's a lot better than the first one.
Yeah,
Um, but I still wouldn't call it a good movie.
it was one of the, it was, well, I'm not going to call it a bad movie. I mean,
Okay.
that's the thing. I mean, as far as its genre and where it's at, and we'll discuss more tomorrow, but as far as its genre and what the expectation was, it was on point. It had everything that you would expect from that genre.
Yes. Yes, it did. Although, you know, one thing that you do expect from that genre is some nudity or partial nudity, and we didn't get that, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, the one that we wanted to see naked died early on.
Yeah, she did. But she
So,
but she died in the bathroom, so she still could have been naked.
yeah, good point. Good point. Very good point. All right,
Although
guys.
if, although in considering how she died and who was with her when she did die, that would have been kind of weird. So
Yeah, there was, yeah. We'll discuss tomorrow. Guys, join us tomorrow for Strangers. They Pray at Night
And join us for
review.
the wrestling show too, where I'm going to make a statement of something that that honestly, if it keeps up, may cause me not to be able to watch Dynamite anymore. So,
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
and
we
it
got a
happened,
lot.
and it's something that happened right at the beginning of Dynamite. So,
And we do have quite a bit to talk about with the Christopher Daniels and SCU stuff, and uh, a little passion out of Sammy, which was kind of fun. And then of course Miro.
and repeating the exact match they had 3 weeks ago on Dynamite between but with two totally different guys in the ring. So that's gonna be fun too.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I guess that'll be tomorrow. If you like this little episode at any point, go ahead, please drop a like on it. Hit the subscribe button, share with your friends, all that good stuff. Just push all the buttons. And then check out our Patreon if you get a chance, patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. Other than
Yeah.
that,
One more thing, Jeff. I did suggest next week we're talking about Jade War, but we probably will be talking about Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynn next week and Jade War the week after.
okay.
So, all
Well,
right.
just let me know which one you want to go with when we get there.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
guys, we love you a long time.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.